Who would have thought that by Soulsborne game they didn't mean the gameplay, but the reading? Lamau. The Wuthering Waves intro acts have been pretty harshly criticized when looking or asking how people like the story. They then follow up that once you meet Scar, who's one of the main antagonists, that's when things get interesting. They're not wrong, but it's also like, yeah, you're introducing conflict and part of the reason why Rover is interesting because everyone wants them. Of course it'll make shit interesting. I digress though. You're here to have an answer as to why the intro story is one that makes people uninterested and want to fall asleep. Part of it is Kuro's fault, and the other part is ours, in my opinion. Let me explain. There's a few reasons for this, and the first reason is because this world is based off of something that is wide in scope, which leads to terms being both scientific and artistic, making it hard to understand at a glance. Since the world building is based around waves, there's a lot of roads in which this baseline idea can be tread. Kuro has decided to take all directions, utilizing musical terms for skills and enemies, literary terms like Threnodian, which comes from Threnody, which is a poem or a song that is written in mourning or lamentation. See how Kuro ties that into the story? Like elegies or odes to people who are long gone. Not only that, but Kuro is using waves as a scientific examination baseline seen through Jinzhou's Huashu Academy and characters tied to it like Baisha and Motefi. But on top of that, many names are Chinese, which for most Westerners will have a problem not only remembering, but also pronouncing since we aren't used to the names. So pair all these things together, artistic terms and science terms for a broad world building scope, and Chinese naming conventions for places and people, well, a lot of Westerners specifically will become dazed rather easily. That daze will lead to confusion, and the confusion leads to giving up and checking out. The second reason is because the execution of getting this information is too much of an info dump, where all the terms run a train into each other and things can get confusing relatively fast if you don't let it digest for a second. This is specifically the case if you're not used to seeing some words or weren't in the know about the game's inner lore. There's a lot of explaining to do in this new world, and I think they smashed it all into one intro scene too soon. I think even if they showed it to you in a cutscene or a battle sequence or whatever else, the semi-lengthy explanations paired with the new terms, paired with ADHD instant gratification brain rot, people would still be confused. So, in my estimates, this is more of an information quantity distribution issue, but that still doesn't mean that they couldn't have executed some things more clearly or translated things better. Like the detailing of maybe an animation for the 6 cities and the Long that presides over them as a visual aid, or something similar to accompany Yang Yang's explanation of the wave-worn effect. It's also doubly frustrating too because of the off-screen text bug that's still in the game as of me recording this. So sometimes you'll get info dumped but not get all the info since it cuts off early in the text box. Kuro, please add a text history and recap in the menu please. Also, as an aside, this isn't even me adding on the translation sometimes being odd, which is definitely an issue and can make for understanding things even harder. But this all leads to a not well paced out beginning. The third reason is actually not Kuro's fault. It's ours in how we approach the game. I think we have fallen into 2 traps in approaching Wuthering Waves: thoughtlessness and a narrowed idea of what Wuthering Waves is. What I mean for the first point is that we want things given to us without much thought put into it, like trying to decipher or think a bit on what the terms are or mean. We don't want to think past the words appearing on our screens. What I mean on the second point is that Wuthering Waves has marketed itself as an action-forward game, which is great, fun, and flashy, but in that marketing, we've allowed our scope of perception of what the game offers to be narrowed only to the combat, meaning we disregard the world in which the combat lives. So that means as soon as there's no combat, we check out, because it's not what we were told the game would be, and it's no longer matching with our expectations of it. All of that is to say, some approach Wuthering Waves' intro, story, and world with no further thinking or analysis, and follow a singular idea of what Wuthering Waves is, when it offers more than just sick-ass anime fights. We live in a time where we seemingly forget that a lot of stories need to establish things. Normally the start of games are slower after the initial hook, whether it be a fight or a cutscene. After that, you need to meet people, go places, do sometimes monotonous quests telling you how to equip things, explaining skills, the game mechanics, have the world explained to you, and much more. That's how early chapters usually are, because you don't know anything. The logic, rules, characters, and premise need to be set, and I think some people are just impatient in being unable or unwilling to follow along with it. I have some other issues too, but this is long enough and the core of what I think. I can outline those another time if you'd like. I do genuinely want to see this game succeed. I believe it can. I believe it has the base to do so, and I believe it has the artistic minds and developers to make this game a real show of craftsmanship. But please do let me know what you think, and of course if you agree or disagree. Personally, I'm chillin' since I'm interested in the world of Wuthering Waves, and I'm here for Wuthering Waves with genuine excitement. In any case, I appreciate you, thank you for letting me take your time, and be safe out there.